it gives the Nets leverage on Kyrie Irving and in his future in Brooklyn, because now because ultimately what this is about for the Nets is the future of Kevin Durant. And free agency comes up quickly again, at the end of next season. All three of these players could be free agents, but most importantly for the Nets, Kevin Durant. And they've got to know that they're going to be able to be in position to re-sign him and have at least one significant running mate moving forward with him. And James Harden allows them to have that. These two players really hatched the idea of getting Harden to the Nets in the offseason when they were working out in LA. And while I think the immediate expectation is that Kyrie Irving is going to be a part of this, that he will return here at some point, Brooklyn now knows that they have James Harden and much more certainty with him and partnering with Kevin Durant. And we'll see what this means for Kyrie's future with the Nets.
Doesn't seem it's going to be anytime especially soon either way. Woj, outstanding, as always. Thank you. Let me bring in the big fella. Kendrick Perkins is ready to go this morning. Perk, what was your very first reaction when you saw the news yesterday? Woj breaking it on Twitter. What was your very first reaction when you saw the deal?
Man, that Sean Marks and the Brooklyn organization was like, hold on, we already filed a missing person report on Kyrie Irving, and we haven't heard from him. So let's call Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and get us some insurance in James Harden. And that's why they traded for him, Greeny, because they don't know what's going on in Kyrie Irving's head. No one knows. Here it is. We're not even 15 games in the season, and no one can find him. And he's already left the team and already is being a distraction. So looking at this right now, you're adding James Harden. This is the problem that I have with this team now that they added James Harden is that Kevin Durant is going to be the Batman. James Harden is going to be the Robin. Can Kyrie Irving handle being Alfred? And I don't know that. So this is an insurance policy to say, you know what? We don't know what to expect from Kyrie Irving down the line, but here we go. We got us another superstar, an MVP-type player to pair along with Kevin Durant just in case Kyrie Irving decides to pull the MIA act again.
So let's live in a world, though, where the three of them are on the same team. At some point here, I think we could assume that the three of them will play together. You were a part of a super team in Boston. Some might say the first super team with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. So you've seen how those pieces fit together. How would you envision these three pieces fitting together?
Well, Greeny, think about it, right? They're going to have so much offensive power. The word that comes to mind is sacrifice, and that's going to come on Steve Nash. All those guys going to respect Steve Nash and when he identifies their role. Like I said, KD being the Batman, James Harden being the Robin, and Kyrie being the Alfred. And then when you look at it on the defensive end, Greeny, no team has won a championship without being top five in the defensively. Even the Golden State Warriors, when KD joined them, they were top 3 in the league defensively. So sacrifice and defense is what my concern is about this team when those three step on the court, if they step on the court together.
Yeah. One other very quick thing I want to ask you about, because I love your Twitter feed. And you had a very interesting tweet last night that I want to share with everyone who did not get a chance to see it. Let's put that up if we can. You tweeted, "I don't need to be convinced that Bron is the GOAT. It's stamped. But if this Nets team can make it out of the East and Bron takes care of them, he's the undisputed GOAT. Beating 2 super teams today is greater than 6-0 in the 90s. Carry on." That's what you said last night. Give me a quick thought on that, Big Perk.
Because, Greeny, I knew you was watching. I know you was watching. Stephen A. was watching. That was for Jalen Rose, and that was for all the old heads. Because if the Nets get past the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers, and they meet up with the Lakers in the finals, I don't want to hear nothing about the GOAT conversation no more from none of you guys, okay? I love you, Greeny, but I don't want to hear it after that.
Well, look, I got you. If he beats Batman and Robin and Alfred, then I guess I'll have to agree. Well done. Great to see you, Big Perk. I appreciate it. His Twitter feed is awesome. Meanwhile, my Twitter feed has today's poll question. Right now, you can go to @ESPN Greeny and answer this question. After the big trade yesterday, who you got winning the East? It's that simple. Nets, Sixers, Bucks, Celtics. Cast your vote quote. We'll keep it up through the radio show today, headed towards noon.
The deal was kind of in the works, and James Harden knew that. But if you're just catching up and hearing it for the first time, this specifically is what Harden said last night after getting blown out by the Lakers that caused ripples.
We're just not good enough. We don't obviously chemistry, talent-wise, just everything. And it was clear. I love this city. I literally have done everything that I can. I mean, this situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah.
In my 11 years being in the league, I've been on a team like that my first 5 years where it was all about me, not about the team. And that hurts. And it brings everybody down. So when we can get all on the same page, we can be something good here. And we can't dwell down on it because it's only been 9 games. Like, come on, man. You want to jump off the cliff off of 9 games? There's a lot of basketball still to be played.
John Wall and James Harden last night. For much more, let's bring in Stephen A. Smith. You're the first person I thought of when I heard about this trade. Your reaction to this blockbuster move?
Well, first of all, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's finals or bust. You assemble Lethal Weapon 3, which is what we could easily call them right now. There's simply no excuse not to come out of the East and advance to the NBA Finals. There really is not an excuse. James Harden's getting paid $40 million this year. Kevin Durant's getting paid $39. Kyrie Irving is somewhere we don't know at an undisclosed location doing whatever it is that he does, but still getting $33.4 million this season. In the end, what it comes down to is that all of these brothers are big-time basketball players. This is Kevin Durant's franchise. James Harden would not be there unless Kevin Durant wanted him to be there. It's definitely a security blanket in case things continue to fall in the wrong direction as it pertains to Kyrie Irving. It's going to come down with James Harden and Kevin Durant. And let me be very, very clear. We can sit up there and we can talk about James Harden all we want to. The man has averaged over 30 the last 3 years, at least 29 the last 4 years, at least 28 the last 5 years. He is one of the most prolific scorers this game of basketball has ever seen. And more importantly than that, he loves to play the game of basketball. He doesn't engage in load management. He believes in showing up. You can worry about a few things all you want to about James Harden, but the one thing you do not have to worry about is him showing up to play the game of basketball because he wants to play. He wanted to play with Kevin Durant, at least until this morning after all of this Kyrie news percolated. Then Philadelphia was obviously an option with Daryl Morey, his former president of basketball operations in Philly, along with Doc Rivers, the head coach there now. But everybody that knows anything about the NBA right now knew that Tillman Fertitta, the owner for the Houston Rockets, would never allow James Harden to end up in Philadelphia with Daryl Morey. They end up going to the finals. His former star, his former president of basketball operations. Folks in the NBA community firmly believe Philadelphia was never going to be an option no matter what James Harden wanted. But obviously, he wants and loves the idea of playing with Kevin Durant.
So the Rockets get a boatload of picks here. You mentioned the Nets, and you think it's championship or bust. What advice would you give Steve Nash? First-time head coach Steve Nash now guiding this team with these stars.
Embrace James Harden and Kevin Durant and let Kyrie Irving figure it out. You can't trust Kyrie Irving right now. It's just that simple. We're not questioning his greatness as a basketball player, his box office appeal, where his heart is at because it's in the right place. But clearly at this particular moment in time, basketball is not the priority it needs to be. And if you're Steve Nash coaching on any level for the first time in your career, you do not need to be concerned about what he's going to do, when he's going to do it, how he's going to do it, etc. You know you can trust Kevin Durant to show up and play ball if he's healthy. You know you can trust James Harden to show up and play basketball for this franchise if he's healthy. You focus on that and the other parts that you have, and if Kyrie Irving wants to come back, when he wants to come back, put the onus on him to fit in. That's what you do if you're Steve Nash at this particular moment in time, because Kyrie Irving has already shown you you're not the priority you need to be. So why make him one?
All right, we're coming back with much more from Stephen A. later on this program. Also, top of the hour, it's your show, SportsCenter. Looking forward to that. We're looking at Houston's lineup.
2019, but was limited to 20 games in his first season. Last season, this offseason also included a media boycott where he said, quote, "My play will speak for itself." And again, he has missed quite a few games already this young season. During the preseason, this is Kyrie seen burning sage on the court at TD Garden during warm-ups. He said he plans to burn sage before every game to honor his Native American heritage. Now he's currently away from the Nets because of, quote, personal reasons, missing 5 straight, including tonight. He could miss more time as the league reviews videos of a maskless Kyrie Irving at what appears to be a family birthday party that was going around on social media. Everybody saw that, including the NBA, so we'll see what they decide to do with it if he did indeed break protocol. Stephen A. Smith back with us live on SportsCenter. And Stephen A., earlier today on First Take, you flat out said you thought Kyrie Irving should retire. A few hours later, the news breaks. Harden goes to Brooklyn, teaming up with Kyrie and Kevin. We presume Kyrie. What do you think about Kyrie's situation now? What should he do?
I think he's very, very vulnerable. I think his career is in jeopardy because when you go away for personal reasons and you don't highlight and illuminate what those reasons are, and the team is wondering about you, and you left your boy hanging, Kevin Durant, you left your other teammates hanging, you left new coach Steve Nash hanging, you left Sean Marks, the general manager, hanging. This is one of the reasons why there was the urgency to go out and get James Harden the way that he did in a roundabout way. You can argue that Kyrie Irving is directly responsible for James Harden arriving in Brooklyn, which may be a very, very great thing for the Brooklyn Nets, because when Kyrie ends up so unpredictable and therefore giving you just thoughts of untrustworthiness and things of that nature, then you've got to have a security blanket for Kevin Durant. I would remind you that Kevin Durant tore his Achilles a year and a half ago in the NBA Finals. 18 months before he played the basketball game, still getting his legs under him, and is still averaging 29 a game on 54% shooting. This brother shows up, and he shows up to handle his responsibility. And for some reason, Kyrie Irving can't seem to understand that you can chew and you can chew gum and walk at the same time. If you got other issues on your mind other than basketball, you can handle your responsibilities that you get paid in excess of $33 million for and still do those other things. But it appears to be a challenge for him right now, and that is why I said on national television this morning he should retire. I said it then, I'm saying it now, I mean it with every bone in my body, every fiber of my being, because unless you are committed to doing your job and playing the game of basketball, and why should you be paid to do something that you're not doing?
Absolutely. We just saw a video side by side with you of Kevin Durant warming up as the Nets get set to take on the Knicks tonight, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. And again, we saw Kevin Durant, we saw Kyrie Irving a little bit together preseason, beginning of the regular season. There's so much hope if they do indeed decide to play.
Welcome in the man, the